real truth about all these fad diets, what are the positive attributes they have, and why they don't work in long term, and why everything works in short term. You know, nutrition or is very important. There are two things which we must differentiate is between nutrition, and also we must differentiate what obesity or food or dietitian is. Nutrition refers to is providing your body with all macro and micronutrients. That way your body can function at optimal capacity and efficiency. What are those optimal nutritions we will discuss in this video? Food, no matter what we eat, is made up of six things. Three macronutrients. In fact, you could consider four macronutrients and two micronutrients. Macronutrients are your carbohydrate, your fats, your protein, and water. And two micro are vitamins and minerals. If you start looking whatever goes into our body through the angle of these six components of diet: fat, protein, carbohydrate, water, vitamins, and minerals, then understanding these diets or fat diets is very important. And we will go through this series of diets and we will come up with a plan why they work in short term and why they do not work in long term. The second concept which I want to give you is nutritional density. Nutritional density is if you consume 1 calorie, how much nutrition is it providing in the form of not only in the form of calories, vitamins, and minerals, how much it provides. All our foods, they are very deficient in these nutrients. So that's why they call empty calories, meaning you are consuming these calories, but you are not getting proper nutrition. Second, so the number of nutrients you get per calorie going into your body, that's called the nutrition density of a given food. And this concept was given by Dr. Job Furman, who is a very big plant advocate, and he has a lot of studies about that. And I think he encapsulates one thing for all of us to understand: not that each calorie is the same. A calorie coming from a food which is full of fiber, vitamins and minerals, and quality protein or carbohydrate, they all will be good. But if they are not providing that, then we call bad. That's how we kind of differentiate a good carb, good protein, bad proteins, good fats, bad fats. It's all based on a nutritional density concept. Next concept which we should understand is there is no food which exists in pure form. Unless we go with the extremes, most of the foods which exist in their natural form, they have all six, but in different compositions. Some will have, your meats have a lot of protein, very minimal carbohydrate, fat, and vitamins, minerals, and water. If you go to vegetables, there are a lot of carbohydrates, very little or no fat, and also they don't have any kind of protein in certain conditions. Next, we should consider the concept of why do we eat? We eat because we need to meet our three needs, but the ultimate reason we all should eat is our biological needs. Meaning, if we consider this body as a machine, we should eat only to meet the nutritional requirements of this body so that this machine works properly. But that in case of human beings, we are social animals. We do not eat just to fulfill our physiological needs. We eat because it is a social event. We eat because that is what brings together. As we go through circle of life, there is a one player which we could have till we die is food. So that's why the food is not a very simple way to think and try to that we could come up with a plan that the food suddenly we today we are eating one way and then the second way you will be able to switch and eat it because there are social cues. Our life is built around this, our culture is built around food. We all sit together and those dining table discussions, questioning, that makes this experience of food very unique. And then the third reason is emotional. It is a big part of our reward system. If something good happen, we eat. If something bad happen, we eat. So we need to approach these diets through the angle of our physiological needs or biological needs. Number two, through emotional needs, because it's a part of our reward system. And third is through our social needs. Next concept is socially. At different phases of our life history, we change. There was a time when our food was predominantly starchy fat, carbohydrates, and food, grains like rice and wheat. Then that was a predominantly carbohydrate predominant area. Then we went into area where we have a lot of production of protein, so we were consuming very high protein diet. Then now these days we are in a fad of consuming more fat, quality carb protein, and lot of fruits and vegetables. So the socially we also change what is available culturally, what is socially promoted, and also what kind of influence which we are having. Now social media, especially with all the big YouTube channels and news outlets, there is not a day when they don't explain you or they tell you that you should eat this kind of food, that kind of food. And truth is somewhere else. Truth is not, never is in the extremes. It cannot be totally plant based, it cannot be an animal based. Science wise, if you have personal preference to be a vegan, that's your preference and you should do that. And then you should learn what nutrients you will miss and how you're going to replete them or get in the form of supplements. If you're totally carnivore and you don't want to touch carbohydrate or you want to fruits and vegetables, you need to know the consequences. It should be based on your personal preference, but it should not be based on the way social media tells us or they try to tell us that if you are eating carbohydrate you are kind of committing a sin and you will have inflammation, you will have, no matter which kind of fat diet you pick it up, they all are proponent that they will explain you that you, if you do this and you do not do this way, you're going to have multiple complication and the world is going to end for you. That is not the truth. The truth is always in the middle, which is a balanced diet. Let's first define what balanced diet is, then we will take each major diets and the myths surrounding that. Our diet should provide us with calories. It should provide us with all necessary vitamins and minerals. It should provide us with all essential fatty acids, and it should all provide us with essential amino acids. That is what the balanced diet is. And the balanced diet is, nature is very funny. Nature doesn't like extremes either. nature has put everything. One kind of food is abundant in this thing, other kind of food is abundant in that way. So the nature kind of puts the things in the middle. And that's why we have to consume combination of foods in order to meet all of our needs. Let's go back 100 years when we were pretty much not totally domesticated, and didn't have the agriculture to the level we have now. When we were just foraging our food, we ate whatever came on our way. If there was an animal to be eaten, we ate animal. If the berries come in, we did this thing. If we found honey, we drank till we kind of were full. So we went with this mechanism of whatever came on our way, and that introduced variety. So food was not coming from supermarket where we could have only one kind of, there was not a choice involved. Now we have a choice. If we want to eat only fish, we just eat fish. If we want to eat chicken, we eat chicken. So this whole process, availability of food, has technically taken away choice of food from us, and variety of food which we can consume when we are younger. So that is the basis of balanced diet. And then above all, now we are, whenever we talk about diet, nothing could be complete without talking about our gut microbiome. They are our constant companions. All the immune disorders, allergic disorders, lot of cardiovascular data, lot of our mental health data is getting connected to this ignored part of our life, which is our gut microbiome. They don't like what we eat. Those biome, they thrive only on soluble fiber. They do not like our meat. They do not like our fats. They like fiber, and that fiber they convert into multiple chemicals, which goes to your brain and lead to very important, whether it's a mental health, whether your satiety of food, whether it's a cardiovascular health, or preventing any cancers or preventing any immune disorders. They like to manufacture the things the way they want to do that and give it to you in the form of a reward for consuming fermented food or the fiber. Now we are moving away from whole foods. We are going towards specialized foods, like, say, for example, a keto diet, paleo diet, any of the diets you pick it up. We basically switching from variety and combination of different food ingredients to one kind of a macronutrient which is predominant, and that is where we are ignoring our gut biome, and they are not happy with us. So when they are not fed, they competition in our gut. There is a competition between good bugs and bad bugs, and those bugs take over. The bad bugs take over, and they produce all this whole host of medical problems. Now, if we go back to the diet which is full of variety, whether by choice, that's what we should do it now. But we are moving from focused one kind of macro, and we vilify other kind of macro. If you go to plant-based diet, they think the animal protein is sin, and if you go to a carnivore, he thinks that eating plants is a sin. So that does not work. This one is, the balance is in the middle. Now let's take up the fat diets. Fat diet is only one thing which you are consuming without evidence, long term evidence. There could be short term gains in the fat diet. Few criterias. Each diet, whatever we eat, it should not only provide us with all the nutrients which we talked about: carbohydrate, essential fats, essential amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and adequate amount of water. it must meet our psychological needs too. When we eat, I'm pretty sure we all have experience when we eat fast food, we cannot stop eating. They are engineered that way that they increase our appetite. So the satisfaction of the food, like if you eat a food after you have consumed adequate amount of food, that should provide us sense of fullness, that you are satisfied. These foods with or these fad diets, they do not meet this criteria in the long run, because we are built on our system or machinery, or this body is built on variety. So we are not having a variety of food, so that is leading to we are always unsatisfied with that. There is a craving to eat all the time. So the satiety part of the food, it is very, very important, because we cannot stop eating evolutionarily till we are full. So what is happening is, when we focus on one kind of macronutrient and we are missing on a whole host of nutrients, we continue to eat. In that process, where we are trying to restrict calories by restricting one kind of macro which we are vilifying, we end up consuming more calories. Why? Any diet you pick it up, they work in short term. The short term is you are relying on your willpower. What in a short term which you do, your willpower, you are eliminating all the things which you shouldn't be doing it anyway. One thing good which I have to agree with these fad diets is, like, they make you change your most common offender. Say for example, the people whose food is predominantly fast food, they can go to any kind of a diet that will change the quality of the macronutrients and they will lose weight. But willpower is the weakest tool to change a human being. We all know how many times we fail if we rely purely on our willpower. Any kind of enduring change in human behavior could be established only by a meeting all the needs which we just know defined of nutritional needs, and also it must meet our emotional needs, and also it should not rely on our willpower. We given one day, and then whole host of benefits which we have achieved over the period of when we were all motivated and willpower, we lose all of that. And that is the sad part about these fad diets. That's one of the biggest reason, because our natural biology takes over, and willpower is a very weak muscle. You cannot rely on willpower to accomplish anything. What is more important than willpower is that you should try to change your environment. I will go over my personal experience. If I see anything sweet, I will fight it. I know intuitively and intellectually I shouldn't eat it. I will fight it, and then in the middle of the night, I will give in. My whole day, what did I do? Whole day I struggled, and in the end I failed. But if in my environment I didn't had any of those triggers, rather I should have something which is healthy, some kind of a fruit or any kind of healthy snack, then my whole struggle will not. Your brain is very smart. Brain knows that you're going to give in and you're going to fail. That's why brain does not make any major changes. For any change to happen, brain has to emotionally, one is understanding intellectually that this is the right thing to do. That is a very small part of the problem. We all know what is the right thing to do, but we must conceive this one into our system emotionally too. Say for example, if I am addicted to sweets, I am telling into my with intellect that I'm not going to eat anything sweet, but my mind is dreaming about cheesecake, some Indian sweets or chocolate, you are going to fail. You're this, so you must emotionally and intellectually understand whatever you're trying to change and conceive both of them and then work toward it and then change your environment, and then you will be able to do that. If your brain knows that you're not going to fail and then in your environment that choice doesn't exist, it will habituate you, it will change your habit pattern, what it demands for you to be eating, it will all change. Ketogenic diet, why it fails? It is predominantly relying on fats and vegetables and quality protein. Last two components are pretty good part of this thing. But the bad part is how long you could continue to consume high fat diet. That's not what you avoid. That's not what your biology needs. So you will fail. That's why in the short term, when you are consuming all these processed foods, but later on, when you switch to ketogenic diet, you're basically making a big switch. But the problem is you have not changed emotionally. You're just working on your intellectual component or your willpower. And moreover, this kind of a diet is not sustainable. Over the period of history, we are diet proportion wise, about 30 to 40% of the calories usually come from one kind of carbohydrate or the other, but 30 to 35% comes from proteins and rest of the calories comes from fat. I'm sorry, I reversed it. Actually, the 15 to 20, 18% or 15 to 20%, whatever you literature you search, they come from protein and about 30% comes from fat. If your calories are coming but 70 to 80% from fat, you are not going to get all the nutrients and you will fail. Next component comes in is this one is then these diets will change your chemistry. The body in which you live is about 2.5 million year old, and then you are suddenly changing the whole chemistry. Body is a chemical reaction. Whatever you are eating, it gets converted into eventually the simpler sugars, amino acids, and fatty acids. There is a big chemistry lab in your body, and your food is the raw material. So the whole chemistry changes, and you you continue to fail on that one. But that is only good part of this one is it takes you away from processed food to high fat fruits and vegetables and protein. And if you can during this process change how you think and what is your relationship with your food and come to balanced diet, say for example carbohydrates, I think rather than you focusing on what kind of macronutrients you need to eat, you need to stick to your nature, how your body is designed and what your body will crave is those percentage. So you should focus on to get 30 to 40% of the calories from carbohydrate, but not from chocolates and sweets. You should get it in whole grains, legumes, green vegetables, and fruits. So if you change the quality of your macronutrient and carbohydrate, that will help. Second thing which I want to do that is any kind of a diet, neither it's sustainable psychologically, neither it is physiologically sustainable because your physiology will fail you. Next is the paleo diet. That is very common. If you look at any diet in short term, it will work. On paleo diet, you are basically one very good component is it is moving you from fast food to the whole foods, which is You should be doing it anyway. But again, you are increasing one kind of a macronutrient over the other that will not survive the test of time, because time will test it and you will fail. Whole food 30, same concept, same problem. They are trying to make you eat one macronutrient out of proportion than the other, and that will fail. Mediterranean diet, there's a lot of data on Mediterranean diet. Again, I think this is again a very big misnomer. It has nothing to do with the Mediterranean diet specifically. If you look at it, if you stick to nuts and all those things, and if you don't develop Mediterranean lifestyle, meaning how they live whole day, you cannot just adopt what they eat, but you do not adopt the rest of the lifestyle, being active, being social, working hard, that will fail. That is one of the reasons is the Mediterranean diet. If you stick to Mediterranean eating part of it is, you will gain weight on that one, and that's why most of the people, where people will fail. So what this whole industry is changing is, because they can, if they can give us a hope that they could hack, or we, if we start believing that we could hack our physiology and psychology, these diets will work forever. I've been a physician for last 25 years. I have seen countless number of people. Say, for example, let's take ketogenic diet. People have lost more than 200 pounds. And I say a story about a real patient, lost more than 200 pounds. And then before he realized, gained all back. Problem with all these fat diets is they are relying on your willpower muscle. And as I've described, willpower is not very strong muscle. We must rely on our physiology, emotions, and our social environment. So all these diets will not work in long term, because they will fail to provide adequate nutrition which you need to sustain your physiology. Psychologically, anything which is built on self control or willpower is bound to fail. And your brain is smart. You have failed so many times in these pursuits. The brain knows that you will fail. So that's why it doesn't automate and doesn't make a habit. But if you go to balanced diet, which is that where 30 to 40% or 45% of your calories are coming from quality carbohydrate, that will provide you with enough calories, enough sustained glucose supply, which your brain loves. It will provide you enough fiber so that your gut microbiome is properly fed. They will send signal to your brain that you are satisfied and you are not overeating. Then the whole physiology will set in. About 18 to 20% of the calories should come from quality protein, because that will meet all your needs for amino acid. There is no reason that you should be eating 56%, 50 to 60, 70% of your macronutrient portion just from protein. Bruce Lee was a vegetarian. And if you chemically analyze, brain does, your body does not have a taste. When the food hits you past your mouth and get into your gut, whether protein is coming from broccoli or coming from a chicken or a fish, body treats it same way. There are only thing different is what other micronutrient it has. So these foods are very different. So chemically, body does not have a recognize. It actually has to work harder to extract out all the essential amino acids out of this. But if our physiology meant to be that we need to consume wide variety of foods in different proportions, then anything you alter with physiology is not going to work. If you stick with continue doing with one predominant macronutrient food diets, you will have liver problem, you have a kidney problem, you will have brain fog, you will have altered gut microbiome, you have increased risk of autoimmune diseases, and a whole host of mental health issues. In nutshell, the message is anything which is relying on your willpower is not going to work. You need to look food, anything on your plate, through lens of what food is made up of. It's carbohydrate, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals, and water. Look at these six categories, and your food nutrition, your food should meet their natural requirements of what your body needs. In nature, one kind of food, or one kind of predominant kind of food which these fad diets refer to us, they do not support what our physiological needs is. And psychologically, and our gut microbiome is not supported. So we will not be able to get proper nutrition. If we want to make sustained changes, we must go to balanced diet. Intermittent fasting is is a new fad in Western world. I come from India, and in Asian countries, this intermittent fasting is a natural part of our way of life. There is not any religion in India who does not fast. So fasting, definitely intermittent fasting, especially in our Western world, has a lot of data. And we know for a fact when we fast, we give our body break. We kind of clean up the accumulated damaged cells in the body with the senescent cells. We kill what needs to be killed because we circulate them, and then we use them properly. So whatever is left is working properly, is clean, and our body knows what is where. It's the same way like we go home, you clean your closet, suddenly you know how many pants you have, how many shirts you have, because you have got rid of all the extra clothes which you have never wore, or you will never fit into those clothes, and when you give it away. The same way happen with the intermittent fasting is when you fast, you clean up a lot of chemical debris which you have in the body in the form of inflamed cells, senescent cells, and all the damaged cell. Body just do autophagy and then clean them up so that your body is fresh and do this part. Intermittent fasting seems to be physiological. There is a lot of data which is coming up that it will help. The other most beautiful part is in intermittent fasting, we are not restricting the number of calories, we are restricting the time. And if you keep the number of calories same and you do the fasting, you will lose weight, you will feel vibrant. The reason is, if you are not lowering the total number of calories, so it does not affect your BMR. That is the other part which we have with these fat diets, is it messes up our basic metabolic rate, because we are doing yo-yo, we are changing, doing this one part. Body doesn't have a predictable way to understand what is the food supply is and how many calories it's going to get and how it's going to allocate its resources. In this case, what I have, intermittent fasting, you are not restricting anything. Actually, intermittent fasting plus balanced diet is the most beautiful thing any human being can do. Let's end this podcast with a pledge that we will make efforts to understand our biology, our psychology, and the social structure which is built around a food. We will understand what nutritional density is. We will make efforts to ensure that we eat balanced diet plus intermittent fasting. I think you will receive maximum benefit as the literature stands today, which has been evidence based and have been checked and verified that this approach will work together for a long term, and you could adopt it as a lifestyle. Thank you very much. I hope it was useful. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I will see you Saturday in next session. Thank you very much.